Shalom, welcome to this show of MTV Junior. This is going to be a great show. I hope that you're going to love it. You're going to have a chance to win raffle tickets and prizes, and it's going to be great. This is going to be really the highlight of your whole week is these couple of minutes where you get to spend with me on MTV Junior, sponsored by Baron Hirsch Congregation in Memphis, Tennessee, our favorite show. Okay, are you guys ready for a great show? If you're ready for a great show, I want to hear you scream, I'm ready for it. I can't hear you. Come on, this is recorded. I can't hear you anymore. Okay, but it was a good try. It was a good try. Okay, here we go. We are going to start. Let me just tell you who I am. My name is Uri Pilachowski. This is my family, and we live in the great land of Israel. You can see that I have a wife. She's amazing. Her name's Lisa. She's actually a mayor. We'll talk about that in a minute. And these are my 6 children. You can see I have 5 daughters and 1 little boy, 1 son who's not so little anymore, but in this picture, he is little. This picture is a couple of years old, but look how happy we are. You know why we're so happy? We're so happy because we have the Torah. We're so happy because we're in Eretz Yisrael. And we're so happy because we love each other. And those are amazing and great things. So this is my family. Now, let me tell you where we live. We live in a very special place. This is called Mitzvah Yericho. It's in Israel. Now look here. Let me see if I move over here. I'll show you. This is a map. You see where that red balloon is? That red balloon is where I live. It's right near Yerushalayim. And it's beautiful. Do you see these mountains? When I look out my window, this is my view. It's of the mountains all the way throughout a place called Yehuda. And if you keep on going past it, like see this mountain really far away, that's the Shomron. And we live right on the border of the end of Eretz Yisrael. And the place I live in is called Mitzvah Yericho, and it is in Eretz Yisrael. It's right near a town called Yericho, big city named Yericho, which is in the Torah. It's actually in the Torah. So I'm looking at a place in the Torah, and 10 minutes from my house is the place where the Jews came into Eretz Yisrael after they left Mitzrayim. So after they left Mitzrayim, they spent 40 years in the desert in the Midbar, and then they came up, they walked all the way up here and then walked across until they got to the red balloon, which was Mitzvah Yericho. They went here first. This is one of the first spots they went to. And you say, why did they come here first? Because this is such a beautiful place. That's what this is out today. You're going to have a chance, and this is one of the most fun parts of our show. You're going to have a chance to win prizes. Throughout the show, I'm going to ask you questions, and if you send in the answers, then I am going to give you raffle tickets, and with those raffle tickets, you can win prizes. So you want to make sure you have a pen and paper, and you want to make sure a way. Soon I'm going to show you my email address, and you can write down my email address, and then you can write down the answers, and if you send them in, you win prizes. So that is what is going to be amazing. That's one of the best parts of this show, that you can win prizes. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, though, the very first thing we're going to do, okay, is right here we go. See, it just showed up behind me. This is what we're going to do. What's on today's show? Winning raffle tickets. But we're also going to have a special story about an Israeli soldier's secret weapon. I'm sure you're going to want to see that. That's a story. We're going to do that in a minute. There's also going to be the word of the week. I'm going to teach you a Hebrew word for this week. You're going to get to see what it is. And then we're going to visit a secret hotel together. A secret hotel that your parents don't know about it. Your grandparents don't know about it. Your older sister or brother doesn't know about it. Even your teacher doesn't know about this hotel. It's a secret. And today I'm going to tell you the secret about it. And then we're going to win prizes. So that's what is on today's show. This, by the way, here you see the email address that you can send in later. You can send in prizes to, and then you can win. So if you want to write down this email address, here it is. But the first thing we're going to do right now is we're going to hear a story, a really exciting story about a soldier's secret weapon. But in order to tell you the story, I have to go into a different room. So hold on one second. First, I have to go into the green room. So hold on one second. I'm going to go down the stairs. Okay, I'm back up to the green room. And now I am going to go into my story room where I'm going to tell you this story. And guess what? This is going to be really, really exciting because this is a great story. Here we go. Are you guys ready? Okay, here it is. Shalom. Okay, have I got a story for you? Now, I have to be honest. I don't know if this story is 100% true or not, but I think it is, and I've heard it, and I love the story. And even if it's an exaggeration, and even if it might not be 100% true, it can really teach us a great lesson about davening and about Emunah and Hashem and about the wonderful mitzvah of tzitzis. In one of Israel's wars, there was a hilltop. And on this hilltop, there was one lone tank, a tank like this in my background here, that was guarding this hilltop. And it was guarding the hilltop and making sure, and it didn't know, the people inside the tank didn't know that a war was about to start. And they had no idea that the enemy was just over the mountain. They had no idea that just on the other side of the mountain, where they could not see, it was in the middle of the night, they couldn't see, they had no idea that there was an entire Syrian army and tons of Syrian tanks waiting for the order to move up the mountain towards this one tank. And there's no way that this one tank could have held off the battle that would have happened had those tanks attacked. And the Israeli soldiers inside this tank sat in their tank and they were ready, they were on guard, and they heard noise that they weren't used to hearing. There was strange noises occurring. They weren't sure what it was. And one of the soldiers got out of the tank in the middle of the night, took out his binoculars, and looked out onto the fields. Didn't see anything different, but then all of a sudden, he saw a glint of light. And he realized the glint of light was coming from a tank. And he used that light to see the rest of the field. And in front of him, before his very eyes, he couldn't believe it, there were 100 Syrian tanks, only a couple of meters away from him. He could not believe it. He was terrified. He was so scared, he had trouble walking back to his tank. And he got back to his tank. He came inside, and his fellow soldiers said, "Whoa, what was the noise?" And he said, he couldn't even get his breath. And they said, "Whoa, calm down, talk." And he said very quietly, "There are 100 Syrian tanks right over the mountain." And they said, "What do you mean 100 Syrian tanks?" He said, "There are 100 Syrian tanks and they're about to attack us." So they radioed in back to their base and they said, "There's 100 Syrian tanks ready to attack us. What should we do?" And the commanding officer on the radio said, "Hold on." And the commanding officer radioed his commanding officer, who radioed the generals all the way back in Tel Aviv. And the generals came back and they said, "We're going to send reinforcements, but it's going to take a couple of hours." And the people in the tank sat there and they said, if they decide to attack, we're not going to have a couple of minutes, let alone a couple of hours. How are we going to protect ourselves? And all of a sudden, they start hearing rumbling. You start hearing the threads of the tanks, the tires moving, and they start hearing the 100 tanks move up. And what they didn't know was, in those 100 tanks sat Syrian soldiers just like them, Syrian tank drivers just like Israeli tank drivers, young men who weren't the bravest. They were scared. They were about to go into war. They knew that not everybody survives war. War is very scary. It's not like a movie. And they were just as scared. And they had heard, the Syrian army had heard that Israel had secret weapons. And these secret weapons is what makes Israel so successful on the battlefield. And they were very worried if they got up on their tanks and they moved up the hill. And what happens if they faced one of these secret weapons? Well, back in our story, back to the Israeli tanks hear the Syrian tanks coming. And they know they're one tank against 100. Maybe they'll get one or two shots off, but sooner or later they're going to get overrun by the tanks and their tank is going to get blown up and they're not going to survive this war and they're going to lose. And then those tanks are going to move into Israel. So one of the soldiers, like in this picture behind me, got up on top of his tank and he put on his talit and he held up his tzitzit and he screamed to Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem, please help us. We're helpless here. Please, you are our Father, help us. And a Syrian tank driver that was leading the charge looked up and saw the Jew aiming his secret weapon at them with strings. And he got on the radio and said, halt the attack. Halt the attack. They have the secret weapon. The tank has the secret weapon. They're aiming at us. We're out of range now. Let's halt here. And the Syrian army stopped their advance. The tank stopped. And the Israeli soldier standing on with his tzitzis looks up at the sky and can't believe it worked. His tefillos were answered. He asked Hashem to stop the tanks, and they stopped right when he said Shema Yisrael and begged Hashem to stop the tanks. And he got back in his tank and he said, my tefillos worked. My prayers worked. Hashem listened. They stopped their tanks. And everybody in the tank said, really? He said, all the Syrians stopped. And the Syrians stopped, and that got enough time for Israel's tanks and the reserves to come up. And 100 Israeli tanks came to help the one, and they started firing onto the Syrians, and the Syrians were so scared about the secret weapon that they turned around and retreated. And that's how this one tank and this one soldier with his prayers was able to stop the Syrian army and save everybody's lives. Now, I told you, I don't know 100% if that story is true. I've heard it take place on the Egyptian border, on the Syrian border, in different places, but I'll tell you something. It tells us what our secret weapon really is. The Syrian soldier wasn't wrong. Our secret weapon is that we have Hashem on our side. And if we do mitzvah and we do Torah, Hashem will protect us. So, that was a great story. I hope you really liked that story. I loved that story. That was a great story. Okay, we're back in the regular room now. That's my family where we live, and now it is time to win a prize. Here we go. So to win a prize, though, the first thing we have to do is know the word of the day. Today's word of the day is arnak. Arnak means a wallet, which is why I have a picture of a wallet behind me. Now, if you send, okay, here we go. If you send, look at the word, write the word down. You're going to want to write this word down. Here is our Hebrew word of the day, is arnak. Write this word down. Aleph, Resh, Nun, Kuf. If you write down arnak, okay, and then you send it to this email address, you will win a raffle ticket. So let's show it one more time. Here we go. Arnak, that's the Hebrew word of the day. And all you got to do is send it right here, and then you will win a raffle ticket. Okay, now we are ready for the next exciting part of the show. This is the part where we're going to go to a secret hotel. No one knows about the secret hotel. So we're going to have to go on a trip. So in order to go on a trip, the first thing I'm going to have to do is I have to go into my green room. So I'm going to go down the stairs because we got to go far for the trip. Okay, here we go. And come on up in my green room here. Okay, so now are you guys ready? Here we go. We are now going to go on a trip together. Okay, we got to get changed into our trip clothes, and then we got to go. So here we go. Enjoy the trip. Okay, hi everybody. I am standing on the border of the land of Israel and the state of Israel. I am here on the eastern side. That's all the way by Jordan. Jordan is just a couple feet over that way, maybe a 1-minute drive, and you have to cross a river to get there, the Jordan River. But I didn't come here to show you the border of Israel. I came here to show you something that nobody knows about. It's a spot in Israel that you could come here with a tour guide and they would never take you here. You could live here for years and you might never know that this place exists. I found this place because somebody told me the secret of where it exists, and that it's here and that you have to see it, and it gets better every single time you come because they keep painting and they keep changing it. And what it is it's an old hotel that used to exist here in Israel about 50 years ago. And there was a war, and the hotel got hit by a bomb, so it had to close. A bomb came. You were going to see the hole that the bomb came through, that the missile came through. It is unbelievable. And now this place is closed off. Nobody comes because obviously nobody stays here anymore. It hasn't been opened in years. But I want to show it to you and show you what's so special about this place. You are going to love it. So if you're ready to see it, here we go. 1 minute, and we're going to walk over there. Okay, now you can see that I'm inside an old building that's been, it looks like it's been destroyed. You can see parts of the ceiling are missing. There's no windows, whole sections of the wall are gone, and you can see that there's some spray paint. People come in here and they spray paint, and that's one of the special parts of this building. You're allowed to come in here with a spray paint can and paint away and paint whatever you'd like. And we're going to see some amazing old paintings and some new spray paint that's here. But right now I'm standing in what used to be the dining room of this hotel. You can see now nobody would want to eat a meal in here. It's all gross and dirty, and there's animals, and some of the floor is gone. You can see right behind me some of the floor is gone of this hotel. But this used to be a really busy hotel right on the border of Israel, and you could stand here and look out and see really far into Jordan, and it was an amazing place. And once upon a time, this was actually Jordan. This wasn't the state of Israel until 1967, when there was a war, and Israel got to take this land for itself. Until that point, this was actually a different country. It was Jordan. And now you could see that the hotel, since that war, has not been in use at all. So the next thing I'm going to take you to is going to be, I'm going to show you around the hotel and show you the cool part of it. So if you're ready, here we go to the next cool part of this hotel. Okay, now we're in what's called the atrium of the hotel. I don't know if you could hear it on the video, but there's a strong echo here, a real echo. And behind me you could see there's an entire wall that's open to the Jordan River and to the land between here and the Jordan River and the Dead Sea. You could actually sit here, and you were able to sit outside and enjoy a nice meal, a cold glass of water, maybe some lemonade. Some people like drinking soda, and you'd be able to drink your drink out here in the lobby of the hotel, this outdoor atrium. And it's beautiful weather. We're in the middle of the winter, where it's probably snowing in Memphis and in New York and different places, but here right alongside, there's always this perfect weather. In the summer, it can get pretty hot, and you could sit out here. You can see I'm in short sleeves and standing out here, and how nice it is. And this is the middle of February, at the end of Shvat, the beginning of Adar. Soon it's going to be Purim, and it's such nice weather out here in this atrium, and you could sit outside. Now, I keep teasing you and saying, get ready to see the cool paintings. Are you guys ready to see it? I'm going to stop the video, and the next clip, I'm going to show you first the graffiti, and then this unbelievable painting. Okay, you could see that there's a long wall. Look how long this wall goes for. And it goes all the way out to there, okay? It's this long wall, and on the wall you could see that there's all of this graffiti. People come here. First they spray painted the whole wall white, and then they spray painted, I don't know if this is their name. It's very hard, unless you know graffiti really well, to know what it says. It looks like it's English. It looks like somebody came here and spray painted English. Maybe it's their name. Maybe I think what it's called is like their tag, so that people know it was them. But if you look down here, it says Australia, because there were people from Australia that came. So they wrote Australia IBC. That was the name of their tour program that was here. Okay, and so you could see how much work they put into it. And on the other side, you can see also over there, there are pictures of a person that they spray painted. That's really nice. Let's see, make sure you could see it. You go outside here, and you can see the spray paint over here. These are really fascinating colors. You could see this takes a lot of talent. A lot of people think that spray paint is just like where you're ruining somebody's building, but sometimes it could be really a lot of talent that goes into it. So you can see here, like this is really, and then I'll show you the person that they painted. It's a really
detailed looking person. It's a little scary, but there's nothing really to be scared of. So here's the person that they painted, okay? And you could see here they wrote Dead Sea because we're right by the Dead Sea. So they wrote the Dead Sea, and you could see different things. Okay, but now I'm going to show you, I'm going to stop the video, and then I'm going to show you the most unique painting, I think, in all of Israel. It's really old, it's really unbelievable, and wait till you see it. Okay, now remember I told you that this used to be a hotel. So a hotel obviously never had graffiti on it, and it will always look nice. So they used to have on this whole atrium a really beautiful painting. The painting was a copy of a really old map of Israel. Now here's the thing about really old maps of Israel. People used to make the maps and they didn't even live in Israel. In fact, they never came to Israel. They would open up their Chumash, they would open up their Tanakh, and they would learn about all the different places. Hebron, Yerushalayim, Beit El, Yericho, and they would just in their mind picture, I wonder where these places are on the map. But they didn't know what Israel looked like. They didn't know if it was small, they didn't know if it was big, they didn't know which way was north, which way was south. It was very hard for them to figure it out. So they would make these maps of Israel, and they didn't have anything to do with what Israel really looked like. It didn't look like Israel. It was just this weird type of drawing that they would make up, and that's what they did here. If you look here, okay, and it's a shame because the person that did all this graffiti covered up a lot of the map, but the hotel used to have, you could see here, it used to have a painting that was drawn here on March 24th, 1973. Okay, that was a long time ago. That was 46 years ago when we made this video. And you could see up here they had all of these different places that they read about in Tanakh, and they wrote a map where they thought all these places were. And you can see they put buildings there where they thought there were buildings, and they had all of these different places that they put on this map. And the map went all the way across the whole entire atrium here. Everything, this map was all across. And you can see it has names like Jerusalem and all the interesting old cities that we know about and was on this map. And if you imagine, just you have to close your eyes and picture. I mean, it doesn't really help to close your eyes if you're watching a video, but close your eyes and picture how beautiful this place used to look with this beautiful, beautiful old map that was drawn on a Crusaders. It says here. Let's see if we can see. If you can see, it says it in English over here. It says this panoramic map painting has been taken from an old Crusaders, I think that says, Crusaders map. Okay, this is a map that they draw from 800 years ago that they copied and put here. Okay, now I'm going to show you one last thing that's really incredible. One second. Okay, now why isn't this place a hotel anymore? What happened that it's ruined? Why did somebody just walk away from the hotel? Well, there was a war here. There was a couple of wars here. And one of those wars, I'm going to turn around and show you something. Okay, in one of those wars, the country over there was Jordan, used to fire missiles over here. And one of the missiles came in. I'm going to walk back and you're going to see. Watch this. Okay, do you see what's behind me? Do you see how I wasn't really outside. I was looking through a hole. Do you see how big this hole is? I want to give you a sense of how big this hole is, okay? This hole was obviously never here. This was a wall. And a missile came flying in through that hole right there from Jordan, came in and blew up. And it blew a huge hole, and that was the end of this hotel. There was no more of this hotel. In fact, if you come over here, you could see this used to be beautiful windows that looked out. Back there is the Dead Sea that looked out onto the Dead Sea, but there's no windows here. Watch what happens. You go here and you could put your hand right through where it used to be the window, and you can look out here. So that's why there's no hotel. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We made a video of a beautiful spot in Israel, and no one, except for the people that know about it from the graffiti, really nobody comes out here to look at this. Okay, see you guys.
Okay, I hope you loved that story. That was and that's the hotel, because that was pretty cool. No one has ever gotten to see that hotel before, from your family. No one's seen it. It's a secret hotel. So I hope that you liked that secret hotel. Okay, now guess what time it is? It is time to win some more tickets. So here we go. Make sure you have this email address written down, and we're going to play a game. The game is, okay, it's a game, it's a memory game. I'm going to tell you 5 things. I'm going to say them slow, then fast, then slow. Okay, 5 things, slow, then fast, then slow. If you write down all 5 things and send them to this email address right here, you can win raffle tickets. Here we go. Dead Sea. Dead Sea is the first thing. Yam HaMelach. Yam HaMelach is the Dead Sea in Hebrew. Dead Sea and Yam HaMelach. A tank, wallet, and miracle. Okay, now I'm going to say them quickly, and then I'm going to say them slow again. Dead Sea, Yam HaMelach, tank, wallet, miracle. Okay, now you ready? Last time, I'm going to say them slow, and then you send them to this email address, and you will win a raffle ticket. Here we go. Dead Sea, Yam HaMelach, tank, wallet, and miracle. Okay, all you have to do is send that here, and you'll win a prize. And now we're at the end of the show. This is your chance to win one last prize. If you email it to this email, all you have to do is email me, what is this week's Parsha? That's it. What is this week's Parsha? That's all you have to do. Okay, and don't forget that there is the newsletter that's in every Shabbat that's given out. And there's games on the newsletter you can see here. There's questions here that you could ask and fun things that you know. There's jokes. There's so much for you to do on the weekly newsletter. Don't forget to read it every week. Thanks so much for joining us this week, everybody. Shalom.